this tutorial, you will learn how to create multiple levels in Unity and switch between them smoothly using a scene management script. This is a core system used in almost every game, and once you understand it, you can build complete level-based gameplay. Huge thanks to Yuchen for supporting me on Patreon and unlocking exclusive benefits. You can join too if you are interested. Now let's jump in and build this step by step.
To make the level 2, we can go over to our scenes folder and we can select the sample scene or the level 1. As you can see, I just rename it to level 1. It can be simple as name as a sample scene. So just select that scene, press down Ctrl D to duplicate, and you can rename it to something like level 2. But I want to distinguish that this is my level 1. So I'm gonna put a text in the top, something says like level 1, so I can distinguish easily. So for that, go over to hierarchy, create the canvas first. So I'm gonna choose my canvas. Let's press down F to focus on it, and we're gonna create the text. So let's select our canvas. We're gonna right click on it. Let's go to UI, legacy in the bottom, then text, and I'm gonna increase the text size. So let's choose the rectangle in the scene view, rectangle in the scene view, and we're gonna hold down Alt, so it's gonna resize from center. And we barely able to notice our text because we need to increase the font size. So I'm gonna make it something around 80, and I'm gonna change the font color and alignment. I'm gonna boot up this. I'm gonna set it to center, and we're gonna say something like level 1 instead of saying new text. And font style, I'm gonna choose bold, and I'm gonna choose another font. And of course I will have a link in the description of this font. You can go and check it out. And I'm gonna increase the font size a little bit, something like 115. And I want this font in the top of my screen, so we can go over to rect transform in the inspector, then click here and hold down all and choose this top anchor one. And now it's gonna stays there no matter how much we down our screen size or down screen size or up scale, like this we can see. And now we can create the level 2. So we can simply select our level 1 and we can press down Ctrl D to duplicate to create the level 2. So I'm gonna press down Ctrl D, and if it's the name is something else, then you can select the scene, right click on it, rename, and you can rename it to something like level 2. So we're gonna double click on that scene in order to move over to that scene. So we're gonna double click on it, and it says, do you want to save the changes you've made in this scene, basically level 1. So the changes I made inside my level 1, I do want to save them. So I'm gonna click on this save button, and as soon as we do that, it save it. And now we are in level 2, and you can distinguish by going over to hierarchy, and you can see the name which is level 2. So I'm gonna change the text. Instead of saying level 1, I'm gonna say something like level 2, something just like this, as you can see. And I want to change some stuff. You can drag any game object, you can drag your player somewhere else, you can drag some other traps, and you can just play around with the level. So I'm gonna change some stuffs inside my level 2. You can take a quick look at this that I have changed some stuff. I dragged my player somewhere else, and I just played around my stuffs in my scene view. And now I'm gonna navigate to my first level as well. So let's click on this save. So I just move it over to my level 1, and we're gonna create a script in order to switch between our scene. But before you do that, make sure you go to top left file, build profiles, and then choose scene list in the left bar, and then you need to drag the scene which you recently created. I already have the menu and the level 1, so I'm gonna choose my level 2. Let's drag it there. Now we can see the name of the scene in the left side, which is menu level 1 level 2, and the build index we can notice in the right section, which is 0 1 and 2. So level 1 build index is 1 and level 2 build index is 2. So now we can cut this tab and we can just create the script. So let's go over to project tab, assets, let's right click, create mono behavior script, and you can name it to something like scene management or a level manager. You can name it to something like that. I already created that script and I have it over here, you can notice. So we're gonna create an empty game object for that. So let's go to hierarchy, right click, I'm gonna create an empty game object, and I'm gonna name it to something like scene management as the name of my script. And I'm gonna reset the transform, and let's attach our script, and we're gonna double click on that to open it up in Visual Studio. So we can go ahead and we can remove the start and the update function we don't need. But whenever we working with our scene, we need to make sure we just come top of our class and include this namespace called using unity engine dot scene management. Scene management, so make sure you include this namespace. And now we're gonna make a function to change the scene. So let's make a function, and we will mark this function as public because we just want to call this function from other classes. So that is the reason. So we're gonna use this we're gonna mark this function as public void, and we can call it change scene or a level 2 or load level. Let's call it load level, and we will make some first bracket and some curly brackets. So inside this function, what we want to do, we just want to load up the second level. And to load up the second level, we need to use this function called scene manager dot load scene function. And this function inside brackets, it's gonna take the build index of the scene. So we can simply pass the build index which we already seen. So we can pass that, or we can simply put inside quotation the name of the scene which we already know the name of the scenes and the build index, so we can just simply pass. But instead of doing this, we can use this scene manager dot get active scene dot get active scene, then make this first bracket, then type dot build index, and top of that we can just add 1, and we can close that up with semicolon. And scene manager dot get active scene basically means the scene which we are currently in. So we are currently in level 1, and then what we're doing, we just accessing the build index, and the build index we already saw that is 1, and top of that what we doing, we just adding 1. So this whole thing will be 2. It means we just loading the second level. So scene manager dot get active scene means the current scene or which scene we are currently in, and we accessing the build index, and we saw the build index is 1, so 1 plus 1 will be 2. So this whole thing becoming 2, it means we just loading the second level, we passing that. And now we need to call this function. So the first thing, create a object, you can create a key, you can create a flag, whatever. So I just dragged my key, and you can see that I added a rigid body 2D component, and I set it to body type to kinematic, so it's not gonna fall down. And I added a collider 2D which is polygon collider 2D. You can add any collider 2D you like, and make sure you just check this is trigger as checked. And then I have all of this. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna make sure you just make a player script and attach to your player game object. So I already did, so I'm gonna open that script by double clicking on it. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna use the on trigger enter 2D function. So make sure you include this function called on trigger enter 2D, and you can ignore this line of code over here. And we can extract information what we trigger it with by taking this collision parameter. So before you do that, make sure you select your key or the game object and assign with the tag with some certain tag. So go over to inspector, click on untag, then add tag, then create a new tag and assign with the tag which you recently created. And you can see I assigned my key as a key tag. So right now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the if condition. So let's use that. So we're gonna use the if condition, and over here we will check if collision we will use this if collision dot game object, and collision dot game object basically means the game object the player triggered it with. So the player definitely gonna trigger with this key as well. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna access the tag of that game object. So we're gonna type dot tag, and we will check if it's equals to key. So make sure you do inside quotation, and you need to put the key tag name. So in my case that is key. It means that we just triggering with our key game object, as you can see. It means we are ready to switch over to next scene. Now we can call the function over here from that scene management script. But before I do, I'm gonna show you something that I created the singleton pattern. You can see right over here, And if you confused about that, then I will have a video in the description, you can go and check it out. So I will move over to my player scape, or else what you can do, you can simply use find object of type, then put the script name, and you can just call the function. Since I made the singleton pattern already, so I'm gonna go over to my scene management script. So I will go to scene management script, then instant, and then I'm gonna call out the function which I made inside that this scene management, which is the load level. So let's call it there, load level, and we're gonna save our script. We trigger with this key, we should move over to level 2. So now let's trigger with that, and we triggering with our key. Let's give it a moment, and indeed we just move it over to level 2, you can see. So it's working fine. So I hope you get the idea that how you can do it, and I will see you in the next